Hi, I'm Charlotte and this is Type Mama Tries to Read. I'm going to do a quick review video. It's not going to be that quick because I've got a stack of books. I'm going to do this in the garden just because it was meant to be rainy and it isn't. And I've had a month off just because lots of reasons really. I thought about doing a whole video on it, but then I kind of felt like it was just using up too much of my time to do a whole video on it. But there's just been lots of negativity on the internet recently, and I became subject to some of that negativity, and then I got a pretty horrible sort of passenger view of the negativity on other people's channels, and just generally just seeing loads of the thumbs down button, which seems like such a kind of benign thing, but actually when you have your own channel and you have a thumbs down, you just think why. And I've kind of got used to the fact over the last year that I've been doing this channel that there are some people out there who have subscribed to me who press the thumbs down button before they've even watched the video, because I've literally just uploaded it, and then I instantly get sometimes 1, 2 or more thumbs downs. It could be a bot, but actually I think that's a nice excuse we give ourselves for all this negativity. What I've seen in the last month has definitely not been the result of a bot, and it's not been the result of this typical kind of image of a troll, which is somebody who is uneducated, can't spell. All of those are massively offensive traits to assign to a troll, because you're being ableist about people who aren't trolls but also can't spell. And you're just making assumptions about the fact that the only reason why somebody might troll someone else is because they're uneducated. You just, there are so many reasons why that's wrong. But yeah, the experiences I've seen and have been part of in the last month are definitely not from that quarter. So there's the evidence for you there. And it just made me feel sad about going on the internet. It made me feel sad about making a video and subjecting myself to that when, you know, I do this for pleasure. So it wasn't pleasurable, but I'm gonna give it another whirl, and hopefully, I don't want to grow a thicker skin, because I don't think that's the answer. I don't think anybody should have to grow a thicker skin to this kind of thing, and I don't think you should be forced to sort of be quiet because otherwise you're feeding the trolls. I think you should be able to say out loud that you've had negative experiences, and you should be able to call those people out. And if it's your own channel, you should be able to just delete and block anything you want, if you're not being paid to do it. So yes, we'll see how it goes. We'll see if this video generates any negative responses. I'm sure it will. And yeah, I know the vast majority of you guys aren't like that. Oh, I've got a little friend. Bees really like me, and so they may land on me throughout this video, but I'm not scared of them, so don't be scared for me. Okay, I'm going to go straight into the books. So I read a book called Trans Like Me, A Journey for All of Us by C.N. Lester. This was a part of my sort of like a trans experience haul, although it was only 3 books. I don't know if that really classifies as a haul, but certainly I got those books and some LGBT books in a kind of big lump of 2 weeks where I was ordering them, sort of because there were some discounts for Pride Month, and I took advantage of those on Hive Books and on the Guardian bookshop as well. I'm being quite transparent about where I'm getting books because of the previous videos I've done about the ethics of book buying. So if you get sort of bored or irritated by me constantly saying where I get these books from, it's just because I'm trying to, like I say, just be honest about where they're coming from and how much I'm paying for them. So this was from Hive, I think, which is an online retailer that you can give some of the percentage of your sale to an independent bookshop as long as they've signed up. So I kind of pick at random because none of the ones near me are actually on there. This was awesome. This was great because C.N. Lester, who refers to themselves by the pronouns they and their, C.N. Lester is not, she, see, there you go, I do it again. And I filmed this video before and I've done that. And again, I'm going to be open about the fact I keep doing that. I find it really hard to let go of the he, she pronoun, and I must do better. They are a non-binary person, and throughout this book, which does relate a lot of personal experience, there is a deliberate vagueness to the journey that they have taken, because I think, although they don't explicitly say this, they're trying to almost rewrite the narrative that we expect from a trans person. So when we think of a trans person, we often think of a person who has transitioned from male to female, and that female then takes on many traits that we consider to be typically female. So you can think of several celebrities right now that fit that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it means that we've narrowed trans experience down to this very, very sort of thin line that a lot of trans people don't fit into. And C and Lester is certainly one of those people. And they make it really clear that there's a whole gamut of experience that can be labelled trans, and that the paths that people take are not the ones that you would expect. So some people opt for surgery, some people don't. Some people opt for hormone therapy, some people don't. Some people choose a gender and stick to those specific gender expectations, and some people don't. And some people do bits of one and bits of the other. So I really enjoyed this book because it's educated me in all the variety that there is out there in the human experience, and that's basically what we all read for. So I feel like I need to read it again, because just as with my slip up with the pronouns, I definitely don't feel educated enough in the vocabulary that surrounds trans folk and trans experience. So in order for me to talk about it in a more open way, I just feel like I need to read more and just ingrain that terminology and that language within myself, just so that I don't offend people. And let's be honest, it's just words. Words are easy to learn if you put the time in. And when they evolve, I'll learn the new words. So yeah, I would really recommend this. It was an excellent read. So clever, so informative. Yeah, I would definitely read more stuff by C.N. Lester. The next one I read was actually gifted to me by Honor Press, who are a Welsh publisher. They publish women's writing, and I've got Honor books, but they're nearly all the classics range, the republished versions of out of print books by women. God's Children by Aly Roberts is an interesting one again, because it's about a real person. It's about Kate Marsden, who was a woman who decided to dedicate her life to lepers and leprosy, and to save people afflicted with that disease. But in her lifetime, she was looked at controversially because she was accused of stealing money. She was accused of embezzlement. She was accused of not actually dealing with the lepers on a one-to-one basis, the way she said. And she was, it's hard to say what is true and what isn't. And Aly Roberts doesn't really, in her own interpretation, necessarily fall down on any one side, which I really liked. But Kate Marsden was also a lesbian, and she had several romantic relationships, which are detailed in this book. So it's suggested in the book, and I felt it myself, that maybe all these accusations of fraud were made at somebody who was already considered an outcast within society, and so they were just throwing any stones they could. I found it a really, really good retelling. I'm not really into historical fiction, so I was a little bit hesitant to accept this book from Honor, and I did say to them I will take it in exchange for a fair review. And I think if you were into historical fiction, you definitely it would bump it up to the 5-star, because there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. The prose was brilliant, the story was really captivating. I felt like she did a really good job of portraying Kate Marsden with all her ambiguity, the way that she did. But yeah, so I certainly enjoyed it, but as I'm not into that genre necessarily, it wouldn't be a 5-star read for me. But definitely something. It's one of those things that's like hidden in a little press, and that's what I love about sort of really liking a certain press and then keeping up to date with the books that they release, because you end up finding little gems like this. And I can't stop thinking about Kate Marsden herself, and I really want to know more about her. So the book's done a job there, so it's done what it's meant to do. Also, great cover. So yes. Now, I can't remember if I've already reviewed this, and I was going to go through my old videos, but I'm running short of time. So this is Notes from a Swing State, Writing from Wales and America by Zoe Brigly. And I bought this last month. I definitely spoke about it in a haul. It's awesome. I won't go into too much detail in case I've already done it. It is really, really good. Sorry, I can just hear a gate opening to the side of me there. It's really, really good. It covers creativity, motherhood, politics. She gets all her pronouns right. She is inclusive. She talks about motherhood, and also she doesn't just talk about women, she talks about all bodies that are capable of growing a child. She puts it way better than that, but you know what I mean. She's covering all manners of human experience. I loved it from start to finish, and I want to read more of her stuff. So I believe that she's a poet. Yes, she's a poet. and I don't own any of her stuff, and I don't know why, so I'm going to make sure I fix that. And also the cover is awesome. This is a painting by Zena Blackwell. I feel like I need some Zena Blackwell on my walls as well now. Okay, so now we're getting to my current reads. I have actually read 2 other books. I've read Pachinko, and I've read Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and I've read the 2nd book of the Heartstopper series, but I don't have them here, and I know I'm not going to have time to ping a cover up on the side here, so I'm going to wait until I've got them in front of me, especially Pachinko, just because that cover is divine, and I'll do a review once I've got, I'm not expecting Heartstopper back, by the way, Sean. It's Sean who I've learned Heartstopper to. That review can wait. I've already reviewed it on my Instagram, so you can always hop over there if you want to see what I thought. Naturally, I thought it was amazing because it's an amazing graphic novel, but the Pachinko one I've lent it to my dad, and I know he's going to love it and he's going to whip through it, so probably in a week or 2 I will do a full review of that. Currently I'm reading Pleasure Activism, The Politics of Feeling Good, written and gathered by Adrienne Marie Brown, and I'm buddy reading this with Sian of Shani Reads and Mercedes of Mercy's Bookish Musings. This, I don't know if you can see this, I don't know, sometimes if I hold this out it will focus or it won't. Basically, it's got lots of pictures of animals humping on the cover, and when when Sian and I wrote Mercedes into this, I don't really think I think Sian knew what the book was about, but certainly we weren't as clear until we started, and it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, we're all loving it. I do feel at a slight disadvantage having never done mushrooms, and I don't think it's a book I will ever take to read on my lunch break and work again. But it's really brilliant. It's just full of really interesting black feminists. I feel ashamed that I haven't read Audre Lorde. I've got one of her books. I think I've got Sister Outsider, which I must read. And I really need to read Octavia Butler, it turns out. And I also need to read, who's the other person they talk about? Is it Toni Cade Bambara? I've actually read A Bridge Called My Back, but I want to read some of the other stuff they're talking about as well. It's brilliant. It's all about the radical politics of embracing the erotic, and depending on how you interpret the word erotic is depending on how you kind of read the book. The erotic word, the meaning of the word erotic in the way they're using it is almost like an inner power, specifically within women, but Adrienne Marie Brown goes to lengths to say that she's not excluding any kind of feminine power, whether it come from a trans place or a cis place. Yeah, she's very inclusive, and her writing is just divine. I mean, she talks about aliens and just makes it sound like completely normal. She talks about how she was hospitalized by a vampire bite, and you know, there's literally no there's that it wasn't meant to be funny, it was fact. So I'm really enjoying it, and I think Sian and Mercedes are too, so I'll get back to you on that. This has stalled. I'm sorry to everyone who is excited about it. I don't know whether it's the right time for me, but I'm not taking it away. I'm letting it rest on the side of my armchair, and we'll see how it goes. I'm reading The Body Keeps Score, Mind, Brain and Body in the Transformation of Trauma, and this is all part of my kind of let's improve my mental health kind of book buying spree that I've been on. I'm really enjoying it, but there are a lot of problems I have. Again, I feel like I need to wait till I get to the end before I can fully relate to all the little things that I've not been happy about. But yeah, I'm really there's loads of information in there, and I feel like the bit I'm up to, which is that I've gone through all the sort of the case studies and the different ways people are traumatized, and now we're kind of up to we're on part 5, which is Paths to Recovery. And there's chapters on yoga and meditation in there. So I think that's where the book is going to come into its own for me personally and my reading of it. Oh, this next book, I really want to finish this tonight. This is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I'm this far. I thought there was a B on me then again, because that definitely felt tickly. Yes. This is awesome. So this is up for the Booker, and I've been drawn to it before then, but this cover, I mean, look at this cover, it's amazing. It's about 12 different women, I think, and that initially made me go, ooh, because I find multi-perspective narratives really hard to keep up with. And unless they're done really well, like Louise Erdrich does, I tend to lose interest after about the third or fourth introduced person, and I don't know where I am. But with this one, I just don't care. The first person, Amma, who kind of ties all of the others together, I didn't actually enjoy her narrative as much. And I thought about DNFing it, and it was because I just bought it that I didn't. I am so glad I didn't give in to that urge, and that goes to show sometimes why early DNFs are just not always the way to go, because once I got into the third narrative, I was just fully committed. All of the women in here are amazing. It just makes me want to be part of their circle. They're, for the most part, Black women. They're strong. They've gone through completely different lives. Some of them are newly arrived in the United Kingdom and are just sort of trying to find their way through this incredibly racist terrain, trying to find jobs, trying to be treated equally, trying to use degrees that have now become useless. And then other narratives are from the perspective of second or third generation Black women who are still trying to sort of climb out of this sort of social expectation that's been put upon them and to raise themselves up. And then others are trying to rebel against raising themselves up and accidentally have been accepted into kind of the middle classes, which is Amma herself, who the whole book centres around the fact that she's having a play put on at the National Theatre in London, and she's sort of feeling very unsure about this because she has always fought against the establishment, and now this recognition threatens to make her part of the establishment. It's just fantastic. And actually reading it alongside this is really interesting because a lot of the stuff that's talked about in this has really highlighted how smart and all-encompassing Bernardine Evaristo's narrative is. All of the women that she talks about in some way sort of represent all the different kinds of erotic power that are mentioned in this, and I'm just loving it. So I've got a couple of the other book nominations in my haul video that I'm going to do, but this one, if this is one of the ones that you've had your eye on, just do it. I really don't think you can regret it. Okay, I hope the sound of the cars hasn't been too loud. I'm going to watch this video back. If it has been, I might have to film my haul video somewhere else, away from my bees. But yes, I hope you're all well and that the internet has been a nice place for you lately. Let me know if you're reading any of those, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.